Today on Town Hall.
But don't get discouraged when you don't get enough of the budget. Some of the best tool there is, use what you have. You can still, with the right mindset, right spirit, right attitude, right commitment, and right team, you can still do amazing things.
My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16 hospital system and creator of This Week Health, where we are dedicated to transforming healthcare one connection at a time. Our Town Hall show is designed to bring insights from practitioners and leaders on the front lines of healthcare. All right, let's jump right into today's episode.
My name is Karla Arzola, and I am a healthcare executive. And welcome with one more episode to This Week Health. Julia, right now, why don't you do a little introduction?
Okay, so in a nutshell, I'm a healthcare technologist. I have been doing technology in the healthcare space for 28 years, probably even more. So during this time, I feel it's extremely important to understand the whole landscape of technology changed significantly in the recent years. And I'm extremely excited of what technology can bring, what difference we can make in the future of healthcare business. So I have been served in numerous organizations to do transformation, being a CIO, now the CTO. I feel extremely fortunate and grateful to have the opportunity, have the time and effort, and to build a difference and to make some impact in the future with technology in healthcare space.
Thank you for the introduction. But this time we're not here to talk about the wonderful things that you've done on the technology side. You and I actually met during a conference a couple months ago, and you just kind of out of nowhere told me a super exciting and amazing accomplishment that happened a couple of years ago. And I was just extremely impressed. And I was like, and you told me why. And so those are the things that we're going to talk about. So you went to an expedition to Mount Everest. And not only did you go to the expedition, but you summit Mount Everest 2 years ago. And just for all of everybody knows Mount Everest, but I was just doing some research, Julia. Only about 7,100 people have summited Everest in the last 75 years.
Mhm.
Only 800 women have done it, and you're one of them. And that is
Thank
just
you.
believable. It's one of the biggest accomplishments. And hence the background, by the way. Is that you in the background?
Yes, that is me in the background on the way to Camp 4.
Woo! Okay, let's get started. So what inspired you or prompted you to say, I'm going to do this? Obviously, this is not something that you just one day and you wake up like, I'm going to go and do Mount Everest. Tell us about it. Is that something that you've been thinking about? How did that happen?
Yes, I think the journey to Everest almost same as a lot of things that in your life, even in our technology space, is set a goal and then have a strategy mapped out with milestones to really focus on the preparation. So I feel I was an athlete before. I grew up in, I would say, east part of China and by the ocean. So when I grew up, connect with nature is my thing. So really like to be outdoors activities and everything. And that's my happy place. So I'll carry out through my young adult years. I try a lot of activities, running, anything to get me outside and make me happy. So I feel this is just follow your passion. And I truly, really just like to connect with people and go out to have fun. And I become an engineering student in one of the best university in China. And we have very few women in that engineering school. So I've been recruited basically in every team. So baseball, soccer, track and field, you name them. So I was part of it. So basically create a foundation of being an athlete from young age. So I always trying to find challenges. Coming to US, I think start climbing is by accident. So it's a little life event changes in my life. So I feel maybe I should pick up some new hobby. And people suggest me to try, there's quite a few local mountains at the time in California. I'll go try one of the mountain. At that time, I'm in pretty good shape. 10,000 feet of local mountain. I really kick my butt. And I feel, wow, this altitude thing is actually a big challenge without even notice it. So I get to the mountaintop And it was when the sun comes out and the view, the perspective, and everything else. And plus some of the adrenaline coming from the struggling. And I just feel like this is my thing. I really have the connection of not just the nature, but also feeling the mental reset, the cleansing of the soul, and also the spiritual level. And I feel this is something that I truly needed in my life at that moment. So I feel later on just get higher, more technical for anything, everything. Once you set a passion, you find your passion, you want to be better, you want to do bigger. And that's how I really ends up being a rock climber, an ice climber, and then start tackle Himalayas after I basically climb everywhere in the Andes. So in the Himalaya, this is Everest is now my first 8,000 meter. I climb Manaslu first to see how my body is going to react in 8,000 meter, which called death zone, because a lot of your body parts, if you stay a long time in the death zone, it cannot be recovered ever again. So I need to calculate the risk, whether my body can adapt to that height, and as well as not to mention too much of a life-threatening occasions or situations, how I'm going to deal with it. After successful summit in Manaslu, I feel I'm ready for next challenge. I was born in China, and I feel I should really climb Everest from the Chinese side, which is from north. We called Everest Zhumulama, means the mother of the highest peak, the mother of the earth. So the Zhumulama is my dream. When I was a little girl, always really get inspired by the team who summited first, American Jim Whittaker summit at 1963, not to mention Tenzing Norgay. And at the time, this whole legacy around Jumlama, which is Mount Everest, really inspired me. So I feel this is the time. And COVID hit. The mountain closed, Nepal closed, China, the site is closed as well. But I don't want to stop training. So I train myself a little over a year in my garage every single day. I build my own workout, got all these things from Home Depot, and also build a pull-up board in my garage. So I try upper body, lower body, carry about 50 pounds backpacked on my self-built stepper. So inside my garage, I pull a pretty rigorous training plan to be ready for Everest. And finally, time comes. And I was actually very fortunate to get elected as a leader of the expedition. International team formed, and there goes my start of the journey.
That's super amazing. And then, so that was the beginning of the journey, because when we talk about climbing Everest, we know that I don't know if people know that it's like a long journey. It's not like you get there and you climb. You spend over 30 days in the mountain.
Correct.
And some of the process is climbing up to camp, going back up. And so it's not a straight path. You have to spend time in camp. So I want to learn about that, but I also want to learn what happens when you get to base camp and you see this majestic mountain that you're about to conquer, because I'm assuming it is very intimidating. I'm here in Colorado. We talk about this. I do 14,000 feet and it's a lot. I went to Peru once and I did 16,600 feet mountain, and it was extremely challenging. And base camp, it's 17,000 feet. And the summit is like almost 30,000 feet. So I cannot even imagine the amount of strength, and it's very mental, number one.
Correct.
But the body also, it's not human to be at that altitude. So what happens when you get there? And then what happened? And then tell us about that 30-day journey.
Okay, yes, it's a long period of time. So the whole expedition normally is 6 weeks, or 4 weeks is already a little stretch. 6 weeks trying to acclimatize. So I think basically man versus altitude is ultimately it's a game for big mountaineering, big mountain mountaineering. It's extremely important to let your body adjust to the height. At the same time, understand that your body changes at higher altitude. Everything changes at higher altitude. One interesting fact is my finger swollen, face swollen, and my iPhone doesn't recognize me anymore. So the finger, we use biometrics to open iPhone. It does not open anymore. It doesn't show my ID, my face recognition. My iPhone doesn't recognize me anymore, so I cannot use my facial recognition to open the iPhone. So a lot of things are changing. Parts that you don't know is going to hurt and start hurting. So these are the things that you need to take it easy, take it slow. So that comes with a lot of things that we set big goals, even in organization, in enterprise, in technology. Give us time, give some time to yourself, be patient. So a lot of things happen along the way too. For a lot of people, trek to Everest Base Camp is their check a box in their bucket list. For us, it's just start of the game. So along the way to Everest Base Camp, we also climb one peak to just for acclimatize. Every step of the way is not easy, but I feel it's extremely important to keep high spirit and a good attitude, because that, I would say, at least 90% of the game, that you need high spirit. You need to pay attention to nutrition. You need to pay attention to the team around you. You need to keep a high spirit alongside with the team and cheer everybody up and just really celebrate each every day you pull this off. And I think that that attitude and that enjoy the process, enjoy the journey type of spirit is extremely important. Yeah, it is not easy. And a lot of times people get sick left and right. I almost doesn't know anybody who did not get sick in base camp. Everybody get this cold cough. The reason we have cold cough is because the area is so dry. Every moist, it will turn ice. So basically those things come into your lung, make it so dry and so itchy, and I would say very uncomfortable. Everybody had this cold cough. And at the end of the journey, a lot of people lost their voice because they cough too much. When there's altitude, you lost your appetite. The higher you go, you cannot sleep. You have a huge headache. And sometimes, of course, not mention that the lack of oxygen make you feel like really winded at all time. Even put on a shoe, it takes a long time. At Camp 4, sometimes the time of doing things, put on shoe maybe sometimes take about 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So it takes a long time to do everything because your mind also becomes slower. All these changes, I think the attitude of embracing this process, embracing these changes, deal with the uncertainty, all these positive energy can make a tremendous difference.
So, Julia, when you are out there going through all these challenges, mental, physical, is there a point in time that you're like, I don't know if I can do this?
Yes, this is a very interesting perspective. So I encounter a few things. First thing is I got really sick and airlifted to Kathmandu. So I got an infection, respiratory infection, and it's pretty severe. I cannot breathe. Went to the base camp doctor, and they suggest we have to put some antibiotics, hopefully with IV. So I airlifted to Kathmandu, a few days in the hospital, basically go to hospital, get this treatment. And I was told I probably 60 to 70% recover. And I was told doctors that maybe it's better just to go home. And I feel like I think I still can do it. Back of my mind, I said, let's give it a try, still give it a try. So I airlifted back just one day late for the new really good weather window. So in Everest, the whole summit, there is just a couple of days for good weather. So I saw everybody's summit photos and everything. So I was very frustrated. And I said, I should have done this, not be sick, but this is not the time to beat myself up. I am going to do it and I will do it. And the attitude of positive and really matters at this time. So I need to focus on the positivity and focus on the positive outcome. And I still believe in myself and I can do this. Getting sick and then still carry on this journey. And all the way along the way, I did a lot of self-talk. Whenever there's a self-doubt surface, I will do a little self-talk. I got this. I think everything looks just fine. I know things are not perfect, but things will get better. And tomorrow is another new day. I will deal with the difficulty when it comes. I did a lot of these self-talks along the way. There's another big setback in Camp 4. While I was still not 100% recovered, our tent got destroyed and our oxygen got missing. I don't want to use the word stolen, but missing. At that time, I feel really frustrated and also feel a little bit of, I would say, can I really do this? The doubt, not just my physical condition, but also the natural condition and everything, anything that we do that rely on this oxygen. And now it's all gone. At that time, my Sherpa told me, this is mountains. I remember exactly what he said. He said, Julia, ma'am, this is mountain and we will make it work. And I cannot believe this young Sherpa has this spirit of resiliency and pulling things off. And this is the attitude all these Sherpa on the mountain have in general. And they are just very, not just spiritual, but also very calm, facing these tremendous challenges. Sometimes it's life and death challenges. And their calmness and their spirit is very transformational. Now think about it, it's actually in some ways changed my life of doing things afterwards. And we asked the base camp and we basically find a support team and support network. And we find here and there, put a couple of oxygen canister together. And that's how people deal with uncertainties. And especially at the time when everything seems impossible, you're still trying to figure out a way to be creative, to never give up. So these are the spirit that I learned from Camp 4 and leads to a success summit and coming back. And I feel like this story, people need to hear how to be resilient, even at extreme conditions. It's extremely important for us, for technologists, to put some impossible mission and to make it possible.
It's about believing, right? You really believed in yourself. You really believe that you could make it. All the preparation that you went through, all the, not just physical, but mental, all the time that you put into this, you're like, I really have to do this. But then you really had some major setbacks, talking about being in the hospital for a few days and then the oxygen tank. Was there a point in time when you were climbing to the top? Because you said, by the way, it's all very climb dependent. And it could be that you're on your way back and you're like, you know what, we have to come back because there's a storm coming, but it didn't, right? It didn't. You guys were able to find the perfect day. There's probably not a perfect day, but was there a point in time when you were going to the top in which you felt your life was in danger? You're like, I may not come back.
Yes. So when we describe a perfect day, Karla, that day is a good weather window, but still not quite good. So it still have 40-mile-per-hour wind. It's a whiteout situation and people turn around. So we see the picture of the long line to the summit doesn't exist on my summit day. Probably less than a dozen people summited that time alongside with us. My Sherpa is the first to get on the top. I'm the second. During the whole time, we are just feel extremely cold. I feel extremely cold. My Sherpa just went to K2, summit K2 a couple times. So I feel his tolerance of risk is much higher. So I still feel along the way, I feel, can I really do it? Is it really risky? I always have that in mind. I have to make back life because families, loved ones, and not to mention I can do so many more things if I coming back. And I have to come back. It's mandatory. Go to the top is optional. So with that mindset, I prepare to turn around. At any point, if I feel there is my calculated risk is really above my risk tolerance. So I did not, however, get really close. And the wind is just so fierce that it blows through all my layers and I actually can feel the chill in my bone. I don't know if anybody can describe that. It's really hard to use words, but my bone feel the chill. And we keep pushing. The terrain is pretty demanding as well, very steep. Although we have rope, the gear that you wear are pretty clumsy, and not to mention your summit mitten is very thick, and you have to be really maneuver with very flexibility. And the rope is very thin too. You know how you're going to grab them, not to slip, not to make mistakes. At the time, your mindset is not quite there because of altitude. So those are all the combination of the potential risk as well. So that's why a lot of accidents happen. Feeling of my life in danger really not knock me until we are almost close to the top. It's extremely cold too. I pass a few dead bodies. And those times really remind me that this is real. The life and the death, the situation of any mistake that you made. You feel tired, you sit down, just want to take a break. Maybe you fall asleep and you never wake up. So these are really happening. And I was told over 300 bodies still on Everest. So these are the things are exist and they're real. But just at that time, I was really self-contemplating and see how I can pull this off. And I go over this Hillary step. Well, there's a rock. Hillary step used to be ice and snow, but recently they have rock fall. So it's pure rock, slippery and very steep. So at that time, I have to go over another body. The sun comes out and I can see this person very clearly. And down there, motionless, have all the gear on him, seemingly falling asleep and never wake up. I have to tell myself, passing him, and I can do this. I don't need to think anything else. All the things that I need to think is I can do this and I will survive and I will be home alive. A lot of minds going through. That is about 300 to 500 meters below summit. And the summit, it just feels eternity long. It takes forever to get there. Even you can see it. But ultimately, we get on there. It's a blue sky. People say, wow, what a nice weather. The reason it's nice weather is all the cloud is below and the wind cannot be pictured. The jet stream is blowing us and it's loud and it's intense, but I am very glad I made it.
What was going through your head when you were up there? What were your emotions? You're just telling me, I'm just feeling so, it gives me anxiety, gives me all this emotion just thinking of the things that you went through. So you're up there, you get to summit, and what is going through your head?
First of all, I feel emotionally overwhelmed because I look over the north side, the Tibetan plateau, although I cannot see much of anything, but I understand it's over there where I come from, where I really want to go through north side. And those are the area that have hidden so many potentials and also so many legends has been going through that journey and trying to make it. And also on top of Everest, much of anything else. I think a lot of things happen, a lot of thought process happen after I come back because first of all, the jet stream is overwhelming. Second of all, I was extremely cold. And third of all, I feel it's extremely important to understand 90% of the fatality happen going down. So I know that although this summit is really nice to view, the good spectrum, the good view, the good spirit, and my emotion is overwhelmed because I made it. And here is Tibet. I was so close. But ultimately, I think this overwhelming sense of responsibility of making them alive really take over. And I think I stayed on top for about less than 15 minutes, take a couple of pictures. The good thing is there's not big line that day. It helps. We make a couple of videos and that's about it. And I told Sherpa, let's get out here as soon as we can, because remember, we only have very limited oxygen as well. So even we spend only 10 to 15 minutes at the top, our oxygen completely off when we reach Camp 4. So that's above 8,000 meters. And we didn't even get to rest in Camp 4. So I think the whole summit is, although it's a highlight, but the most important thing is you make down to Camp 2 alive. And without oxygen, the last 10 hours, no oxygen, no food, no water, really put our dedication and commitment to test. And I basically fell asleep when I was walking to experience this ultimate exhaustion. It's important lesson learned, right? The perspective change, the dedication, you have vision for anything you do, you have a plan, you accomplish what you accomplish, but at the same time, use your support network and stay with what's matter to you.
That's interesting that you said that even though when you get up there, you're not even to enjoy it because you're like, I have to go down and I have to go down and it's going to be a long way. And I would assume, and knowing you, that this just gave, you mentioned this, a completely different perspective in life.
Right.
Things that matter, there are things that are not important. You and I talked about most problems have a solution. And not to minimize the problems that we have, but you think about it differently. So how did that change in your eyes? Now you being a technologist, I also know that you're super passionate about helping children connect to nature and some of those potential mental health issues that they may have, and then just present a different situation to them. So all these things happen as a result. And I also know that you're an avid scuba diver and all these things. So how did that change your perspective in life and the things, and how do you approach new challenges and the things that you want to do?
I feel reaching the top of the world really resonate with some of the things I do in life other than just expeditions. For technologists, I feel it's extremely important to set a vision, set a goal, whether the goal is sky high, be very daring to accomplish, to basically committed to that goal and never question, never doubt your ability to accomplish that and have a plan to basically create milestones each step of the way and have a detailed preparation of accomplish that. I think it's extremely important to be visionary and strategic. Second, have a good team and a support network. I feel the team is what you rely on, your life in this case, even. And in technology, of course, support network. This week, health is part of the good community. I think we met in Bluebird Leaders. This is a really good new community. And this community raise you up when you have difficulties, when you lost oxygen, when you have problems, when you have severe altitude sickness. These support networks raise you up, lift your spirit. Extremely important to have that team and network in place to accomplish this goal. At the same time, in between here and there, enjoy the journey, celebrate wins along the way is also extremely important than reaching the top. But however, the top is magnificent. The view is beautiful. The perspective change a lot on every single day. The daily hurdles, the problems that we have is so insignificant. And that goal is well worth all the struggle. And meanwhile, I feel another really interesting perspective. I feel out of all these ordinary inspirations that I got is I remember Tenzing Norgay get on the top in the 1950s without all these modern gear. Even oxygen canister weighs a ton. They are wearing a trench coat. And I saw some of the gear. I'm like, how they can even use that to reach to the top, even with limited support. So I feel our budget always come in as a problem. Our CIOs, technology executives, we are in this position to really struggle how we're going to get some of the best solution, best tools in place to accomplish what we said to accomplish. But don't get discouraged when you don't get enough of the budget. Some of the best tool there is, use what you have. You can still, with the right mindset, right spirit, right attitude, right commitment, and right team, you can still do amazing things. So these are some of the perspective that I get from this expedition. And I truly appreciate the whole opportunity and have that mindset and perspective, and also get on the top, the highest point of Earth, to see what is under me and what life brings to us and what opportunity I have waiting for us and waiting for all of our technologists. It's a blessing after all.
I just have to say that I am extremely grateful and blessed that we had an opportunity to meet. You have become one of my very good friends, and you are such an inspiration, Julia. You are really,
Thank you.
You're amazing. Everything that you've done, and then you're just the way that you approach life and your perspective, you're so positive, and just talking to you, it just warms my heart. It really does. And so thank you for all the work that you do as a person, as a professional, as a human being. And thank you for being always there for your friends, your colleagues, for everyone. You are just amazing. Just know that I love you from the bottom of my heart. I admire you. You're amazing. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. And thank you for having me too.
Thanks for listening to this week's Town Hall. A big thanks to our hosts and content creators. We really couldn't do it without them. We hope that you're going to share this podcast with a peer or a friend. It's a great chance to discuss and even establish a mentoring relationship along the way. One way you can support the show is to subscribe and leave us a rating. That would be really appreciated. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.